In this video, I'll show you the steps I took to get these Stormlight miniatures printed on a FDM 3D printer. We'll use this Warform as an example for today's video. Hey, I'm Josh and this is Cosmere Miniature. This year, Brotherwise committed to releasing one new Stormlight miniature every month. And so because of that, I want to help those of you who have an FDM printer get some resources for printing these miniatures at your house. Now, to be clear, I'm talking about FDM 3D printing. You will get much better prints with a resin printer. And so if you have a resin 3D printer, that's great for you. I don't personally have one. I don't intend on getting one for a while yet, but you can still get 80% of the way there with this FDM printer to get some nice quality on the miniatures. You will see some scarring, you will see some issues, some layer lines and that kind of thing, but overall it is looking really good on the prints that I'm able to do. What you'll need for this tutorial is you will need a 3D printer, obviously, with a 0.2 millimeter nozzle. Most 3D printers come with a 0.4. You'll need to get a 0.2 to get the level of detail that we're getting here. You'll need the STLs, you'll need Blender, the Blender software, a hobby knife, and some hobby clippers. So step number one, have an FDM printer. I did pick up a Bamboo A1 Mini during their Black Friday sale last year. I printed 5 or 6 different miniatures so far, as well as countless other things for my kids and stuff. But most of the concepts I cover today will be applicable to other FDM printers. You may just need to do a little bit of research to get the printer profiles situated between the A1, Bamboo, and your printer. Second step, you need to have the STLs. As I mentioned, Brotherwise has been releasing STL files on their My Mini Factory page. And so you can come on here. I'm part of the Art of Fabrian monthly subscription, but if you don't want to do the subscription model, you can come to their store and you can see all of the available miniatures that they have. For today's video, I will be focused in on this Warform miniature and give you an example of how to print it. Step number 3 is that you will want to pull up Blender. So this is a software, a 3D modeling software. I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Painted for Combat. His YouTube channel is really good at this topic of printing amazing FDM minis. This is his full tutorial using the Resin2FDM method. So I'm going to be using that method today. So you can just check out his tutorial here. It's about 17-18 minutes long. It goes through every step all the way that I'm going to be going through today. I'll just be focused in on our specific Stormlight miniature. And you can go through the setup profile of setting up Blender, setting up Resin2FDM, his software. You have to do a little bit of installation there. So once Resin2FDM is installed and you open up Blender for the first time, you're going to hit N, and then this pop-up menu will show up, and you're going to click on Resin2FDM Lite. First thing we're going to do is hit this prepare scene. So this puts it into the dimensions of my Bamboo A1. In the setup process, he goes through how to set this up for whatever printer you have. Then we're going to import STL. I'm going to go to where I have my Stormlight minis, and we'll go to the Warform, and we're going to go to the supported miniatures. And we'll go to the STL files. The LYS files, I need to look at these closer later on. If you've used LIS files, let me know how they went for you. That might be something I need to do another video on. But we're going to do the STL files, and we're going to do just the body. You could do the whole if you want, but I'm focused in on just printing the miniature because we can make our own bases pretty easily. So now that that is imported, you can see the Warform right here. Since I've already printed a few of these Warforms in this position, I'm going to flip it to give some variety to the miniatures I have. And so to do that, while you're clicked on the STL, all I'm going to do is come over here to scale X, and I'm just going to flip it to -1. Now he's holding it in his other hand, right? So giving a little bit of variety to the miniatures that I have already printed. With our miniature selected, we're going to select split by loose parts. And what this does is it splits the miniature from the resin supports, because this model was built for a resin printer, obviously. And what we're doing is we're kind of hacking the system a little bit for FDM. So we need these separate so that we can strengthen the resin supports to be a little bit stronger as we go through the printing of the miniature. So from there, the next step is to click on the mini itself so it's highlighted, and then we'll hit Assign Miniature. So what you can do here is you can thicken the supports to be stronger for the miniature. It's usually a good idea to click it at least once. So when I do that, you will see that some of the supports thickened so that they support the model a little bit better. Then what I'm going to do is make sure I get the right output folder. I've done this a few times, as you see already. Set output folder, and then the file name. Once that's clicked, I'm going to click export both, and so this will export the model itself, the miniature, and the supports separately. So that was step number 3. So we were in Blender, we got it all prepped. Now we're going to go over to Bamboo Studio, our slicer, so that we can prep it for printing. Just highlight a few things. I'm on the Bamboo A1 Mini. The diameter of my nozzle is 0.2, as I mentioned before. You want detail on these minis. It will take longer to print with a 0.2 nozzle, but the detail is worth it. And then I'm just using PLA Basic from Bamboo. I'm sure I could play around with Sunlu filaments or matte filaments, but I'm new to this. I'm trying out the PLA Basic, and it's worked out great for me. What you need to do at this point is this user presets. In Painted for Combat's tutorial video, he goes through and talks about the Fat Dragon Games custom Bamboo Studio printer profile. Highly recommend it. Most people in the FDM miniature community recommend this. It's a great profile, so you can load that up. And just to be clear, printer profile is a set of presets that goes in and modifies how your printer is set up for the print job. So I have this one loaded in, and you can follow his tutorial on how to get that into your A1 Mini. We got to bring the miniature on, and so to do that, I'm going to go to my File Explorer and go to my Warform, and I just did this one, so we're going to drag and drop onto the build plate. This pop-up will happen. Load these files as separate objects with multiple parts. Hit yes. So now that it's loaded in, the first thing you need to do is you need to have it all selected, right click, split to objects. Okay, from there we're going to come to supports. We're going to make sure that enable supports is turned off because we already have the resin supports. If you keep this on, Bamboo Studio may add automatic tree supports, which are kind of the new up and coming thing for supports. Tree supports are really bad for miniatures. I've tried it on a few of them. It does not work out very well. Next, we'll go to objects, and we're going to make a few changes to the way the supports file or the supports STL is being used. And according to Painted for Combat's tutorial, we're going to modify a few things here. The layer height you can put higher than we have our, if we come back over here to global. Right now we have 0.08 millimeter layer height for the miniature. We can come over to the objects, to the Warform supports, and we can increase that. You can do up to double. Now, I haven't looked at this yet. Mine just wants me to adjust it to 0.14 instead of 0.16, but around double is what you're looking for. Sparse infill density, he puts it down to 12, and then wall loops, he moves down to 2. Now over on strength, you can scroll all the way down, and on the minimum sparse infill threshold, you want to turn that into 0. Next thing here that we need to do is come over to speed, and he reduces it down to 50 or increases to 50 across multiple of these. So what this, from my understanding, this kind of slows the printer down so you're not going so fast. What I've noticed is when supports are hanging out by themselves and the printer's moving fast, it will mess up what's going on with the print. So with that, we should have all of our settings set up. We're going to hit slice plate up here on the top. Okay, and with that, you'll see that the warnings that popped up here, these are default warnings that come because of the way that we set this up. Painted for Combat says we can totally ignore these. I've printed quite a few and it's totally fine. You can see here that the total time to print is about 3 hours and 16 minutes. You might think that is a long time. It is a long time, but the level of detail that we're getting because of that extended time is worth it. So from there, I'm going to hit print plate. It helps if I turn the printer on. Now that the printer is on, I'm going to hit send. So from there, we will wait until it is done, and then I'll come back and show the process of cleaning it up, getting it ready for painting. So the mini took about 3.5 hours to print. He's looking great. I think the Warform itself lends itself really well to FDM because it's a little bit more gritty and with like the carapace and the woven cloth, I think the layer lines kind of add to the texture, which is really cool. And now with that, we can start taking apart the resin supports. And so to do that, I have my hobby clippers, and I'll just kind of be going around taking off the pieces that I can easily reach. So I won't bore you with the whole process, but basically go around and clip everything off. As you get near the end, you can basically kind of just yank them off. You don't have to be as careful because this is the underside of the Mini and will be facing your base, and you really don't need to be painting down here anyway. Now from here, you can do a little bit deeper clean using a X-Acto blade, a hobby knife, and just to trim up the edges just a little bit. So something you'll notice on this Warform, particularly with the pre-supports, the feet will sometimes have this stringing because there's not a lot of supports on the feet themselves, and they were facing the base plate, and so they kind of were just floating there, and they started unraveling. Other parts where it might unravel a little bit are on his underside of his elbows. What I've noticed with this Mini particularly is that there's really not a lot of overhang that has issues with these resin supports. Don't forget the supports under his neck. The hardest parts to clean up on the Mini are definitely on the ends of his robe, the ends of his feet, and inside of the axe, and on the little armband things. But with a little bit of patience, you can get this done in 5 to 10 minutes, and he looks pretty clean. Now that they're printed, it's time to go paint them. I'll make another video about that process and kind of what I've learned from that. I hope you enjoyed this Resin2FDM tutorial about printing out a Warform miniature. A lot of the same principles apply to the other miniatures that we have access to. So thanks for hopping along.